Here we go. What is going on, Cover One crew? Welcome back to the show. Hope everybody is good as per usual. I'm fantastic because we got a great slate of contests ready ahead of us for Start Sit week number 9. Fantasy football lineup advice. I got you covered. I mean, lots of bye weeks, lots of injuries, lots of changeover at the quarterback spot, especially for a lot of clubs. So this week will be definitely interesting. A lot of great contests I'm looking forward to on the bye week. It's not necessarily bye week Armageddon, but we still got 4 teams, the Broncos, Lions, Jags, and the 49ers, all on the bye week. So big player names like Etienne, CMC, no longer for this week. We got to make do without them. But let's go rapid fire as per usual. Arizona Cardinals taking on those Cleveland Brownies. Okay, Browns coming off a loss, but I mean, the Cardinals, they're shifting gears. Is this tank in? I mean, why? How else can we put this? They're talking Kyler Murray, potentially could return. He's on the questionable right now, but they're saying maybe he's out as well. Like, it's a very confusing situation right now. Practice, not on the injury designation, but likely not going to suit up in this contest. They're going with Clayton Tune. I mean, there's a lot of red on this board right now for these Cardinals. Tune, high-level risk. Can't trust it. We don't know what this man's going to look like on the field, especially going to Cleveland and playing a great stout Cleveland Browns defense. Ingram, Clement are basically, you're not trusting that at the running back spot. We got Demercado. He's out with a toe injury. Big problem, high-level risk for these running backs. I'm giving low upside to Hollywood and to a Trey McBride because there is potential garbage time productivity that could be had. I think Myles Garrett's going to be given the bum rush to a Clayton Tune all game long, and it's going to be a very difficult day. So outside of the fourth quarter and garbage time productivity, maybe Hollywood gets some points, maybe Trey McBride gets some points, but I'm basically looking in another direction than playing any of these Cardinals this week. If I'm wrong, I'm okay being wrong here because the risk is far too high for me to trust. Red for everybody. Moore, Wilson, Clement, Ingram, and Tune not touching it. Only high upside or low upside for a Hollywood. Potential garbage time. I don't like it. Look for other options elsewhere. The Atlanta Falcons taking on the Minnesota Vikings, and no more Desmond Ridder. Arthur Smith has seen enough, and he's going to be playing a Taylor Heineke. Okay, we've seen enough of Taylor Heineke to understand that he's a gunslinger type of quarterback. Even if he makes mistakes, he's still going to chuck the ball, which will give them opportunity offensively. However, they got some bad news that Drake London is out of this contest, so you guys got to look in another direction. I'm giving mid-level risk for a Heineke. If you're in desperation at the quarterback spot, you can maybe play him. It's not going to be great. Anywhere from 10 to 15, you're going to get in point productivity on the mid-level risk. Bijan and Tyler Algier. You got to believe that they're going to run the ball a lot to try to make Heineke a little bit more comfortable. Low-level risk for Bijan. He should have a decent to very good contest where Algier still does have some TD upside. Van Jefferson, I'm only going to give him the high-level risk in this one because he hasn't been acclimated with the Falcons near enough for me to feel, warm and fuzzy to recommend playing him. I think Mac Hollins does have the lower upside and the better play if you had to. Not recommending playing either one of these wide receivers because you could probably do better elsewhere. But if I'm picking one out of the two, I'm taking Hollins over a Jefferson at this point. Where I do think the upside does lie is in Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith. I think, the safety blankets are going to be there. And I mean, Pitts and Jonnu have been very productive. I don't want to say very productive. They've been productive enough that we can at least plug them into our lineups and good matchup play. And Heineke should be able to find these guys on the regular. I do like the plays of both Kyle Pitts and Jonnu Smith on the safety blanket upside with a Bijan Robinson and to a lesser extent Tyler Algier. The Baltimore Ravens taking on the Seattle Seahawks. Okay, and the Ravens, they played, what they needed to do last week versus those Arizona Cardinals. We thought Lamar was going to, absolutely torch them. They didn't need to. It was basically a game off for Lamar. It happens from time to time when the team is that much better. They're not going to go full bore and, expose their quarterback where they did run the football quite a bit. In this contest versus Seahawks is going to be a very good show where the Hawks are coming off a big win last week. Lamar Jackson, low-level risk. I think he gets good point productivity in this one. You fire him up everywhere. You got him. Gus Edwards is back. Gus the Bus, we can absolutely trust once again. 2 games in a row, they're giving him all the volume in the run game. Once the run game starts going in Baltimore, it is very good. It's going to be good against a Seattle front 7 that is okay at stopping the run. Not great where they do have a good secondary. So I do expect Gus to get a boatload of volume, low-level risk for me. Fire him up everywhere you got him as well. Zay Flowers on the mid-level risk. while I want to promote this guy every single week to say, this is the week it's going to happen, I'm still playing Zay this week, but it's on the mid-level risk. I think we got to, cap our top-end expectation to be anywhere from 8 to 10 points, being that, ceiling at this point until we see otherwise, where Zay goes off for the 15 to 20, then we can start changing the narrative and saying, yes, he is the true wide receiver one, because is he really, or is he just this, dynamic playmaker that they're struggling to find ways to get him the ball? So mid-level risk, but I'm still playing him this week against the Hawks that do have a very good secondary at this point. High-level risk for Bateman and Beckham Jr. I don't like it whatsoever. Odell Beckham just, I don't know what it is. He was angry, visibly angry on the sidelines last week. Did not get the passes. I mean, the passes were off. He was dropping balls. Just not good right now. Not looking to play either one of these gentlemen. Look in other directions where Mark Andrews does still possess low-level risk because Baltimore tries to change how they approach football, and then they're going back to what works the most, where they run the football a lot and then feed Mark Andrews on the regular. So I think that's, again, going to continue with some sprinkles of Zay Flowers. Hopefully he finds his way into the end zone to give us that 15-point threshold. The Buffalo Bills taking on the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday Night Football. This is going to be a dandy, man. And like I was saying in the other show in Boomer Bust, I don't think there's an in-between here for the Buffalo Bills. Either they're going to play extremely well or they're not going to play well at all. Because going back into Cincinnati, post-Damar Hamlin tragedy, I mean, this is going to be feelings, a huge amount of feelings going into this contest. As long as, they start the first quarter, they're going to be timid. They're going to be, a little apprehensive. You want to believe. And if they come out the gates firing, that's a good thing. I want to see that coming out the gates where Josh Allen is that lion. Low-level risk for me for Josh Allen and likewise for a James Cook. He's got 4 boom games on the season, and I mean, it's been, hit or miss these past several weeks. I believe it was 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 4 that he has not boomed, or he's boomed, excuse me, and I mean, I think it's time for the turnaround. They're going to try to run the ball a lot, control the clock a little bit to keep Joey B on the sidelines. I think James Cook has a very good day. Low upside for Lat Murray, only TD upside still exists for this man. Stephon Diggs, Mr. Automatic, 8 boom games. Him and Amon-Ra St. Brown are the only 2 wide receivers in the league that have had perfect boom rate consistency for fantasy football. So you fire up Diggs, obviously, everywhere you got him. Here's where it gets a little bit interesting, because the Bills decided to move the ball around to all the other plethora of wide receiver and tight end talent that they do have. Gabe, Shakir, and Kincaid all saw the ball last week. So who do we trust this week? Gabe on the mid-level risk. I think it's very important that they continue to go back to Gabe, as he is proving that he is a very reliable wide receiver too when given the opportunity. I think we could start Gabe in our flex spot and not even think about it. Khalil Shakir, low upside for me this week. I think that he's not utilized near enough as he should be. He showcases his talent all the time. He's very consistent hand catcher and will make big plays for you, but I think this is the week we got to sit him down and say, even if you picked him off the waiver wire, sit him down this week and hope, that more consistency does come his way, because I think it's going to go toward a Dalton Kincaid. They're going to continue to feed this man. Finally found the end zone, and I think the ups are coming for Diggs, Gabe Davis, and Dalton Kincaid in this offense to be the steady 3, where Shakir will be the pickup, mop-up duty type of wide receiver this week, man. Carolina Panthers versus those Indianapolis Colts. Frank Reich going to be going up against his former club. Very interesting contest indeed. Bryce Young is starting to bear fruit, like I'm saying. He's starting to look a lot better. Mid-level risk for me. We're almost at the point that we could maybe trust him as a streaming quarterback. It's getting very close. I'm not suggesting I'm there just yet, but mid-level risk because he's putting enough points that we could suggest it is reliable in deeper leagues. No kidding. Miles Sanders or Chuba Hubbard. This is a big problem. Miles, I don't know what happened to you, man. He's been dealing with that groin injury since the offseason, so they're saying Chuba is getting the start this week. Okay, take that for what it's worth. Does that mean that Miles is not going to see any carries? He only saw 2 last week. So, I mean, it's very difficult to trust Miles at this point. So, I got to label him as the high-level risk, where Chuba is a mid-level. So, trust what the coach is saying. They're going to try to give the opportunity to Chuba Hubbard over a Miles Sanders. So, right now, sit Miles. And if you have running back issues, play Chuba at this point. Low-level risk for an Adam Thielen, Mr. Automatic as well. 6 boom games out of 7, I believe. So, I mean, he's been killing it as well. His 85% rate of boom. It's going to continue versus the Colts, who do hemorrhage a lot of points in the pass game. DJ Chark, high-level risk. Jonathan Mingo, high-level risk. Chark is dealing with an elbow injury. He's got boomer bust potential written all over him. We just haven't seen it yet in this offense as Bryce Young gets more comfortable. Where Hayden Hurst this week, it's been far too quiet for Hayden Hurst for far too long. I think TD upside does exist here, and there is potential he finds his way into the end zone versus these Colts, but definitely high risk, high reward for a Hayden Hurst this week. Chicago Bears taking on these New Orleans Saints, and Tyson Bagent. Teabag, I mean, he's starting again because Justin Fields' thumb, he's still on the doubtful, likely going to sit again this week. High-level risk up against this New Orleans Saints in New Orleans, mind you, versus a great Saints defense. They're going to, man, we saw what happened to Bagent last week versus the Chargers. It's going to be another one of those situations where the defense is going to pressure, and make him make mistakes. High-level risk for basically this entire offense. Low upside in the red for a D'Onta Foreman. I mean, he scores 3 touchdowns, and then they can't find the run game again. Now you got Roschon back in the mix. I think low upside on the mid-level is good for Roschon. High-level, low upside for a D'Onta Foreman, I think, is relatively fair, where TD upside could go to either one of these gentlemen, but now Roschon coming back from the concussion, I think I would trust him more this week over a Foreman. DJ Moore, again, a low upside only because of who's throwing him the football. Going up against a great Saints defense, I do not like it whatsoever. High-level risk for Mooney, high-level risk for Scott, and a mid-level for a Cole Kmet, where the safety blanket for young quarterbacks. Been telling you guys this all the time. Any young, inexperienced quarterback is looking for the easy, quick, hot read out, and typically that is your tight end. So Cole Kmet, I mean, he could warrant a start in this one, where DJ Moore is, higher risk up the upside with lower upside this week once again. Cincinnati Bengals taking on those Buffalo Bills. Like I mentioned on Sunday Night Football, Joey B., man, he looked the best I've seen all season long, back to the old Joe Burrow that we know and love for fantasy. He took it to those 49ers. This entire offense looked great versus the 49ers defense. Low-level risk for a Joe Burrow. He will be on target. He said he felt the best he's felt the entire season last week. The calf looked good. He was taking off and running, so there was no limitation. You like it all day long. Fire up Joey B. Everywhere you got him. Joe Mixon, likewise. I've been very critical on Joe Mixon a lot because I didn't like how he was performing. We haven't seen the burst, the explosive ability, the nimble, juking, agile movements. We haven't seen that from Joe in a very long time. Versus the 49ers, he looked like the old Joe back when he was a rookie and he had all that juice in him. Low-level risk for me against the Buffalo Bills defense that does give up quite a bit of rushing yards and will give up some PPR upside to Joe Mixon. Fire him up everywhere you got him as well. Jamar Chase, similarly, I don't think I have to explain that. You fire him up because he is the elite talent. T. Higgins, mid-level risk. Tyler Boyd, mid-level risk. T almost got us to that boom consistency threshold, and he was very close. I think he was off by like a point, so I just missed my boom target on this man. But Tyler Boyd still will play a big role in this offense because they're going to try to scheme up ways to beat the Buffalo Bills. Tyler Boyd could have a decent day again, finding his way into the end zone. So either one of these gentlemen in your wide receiver 2 flex spot, I want to say wide receiver 2 for Higgins, flex for Tyler Boyd. If you are in deeper leagues and have issues at the wide receiver spot, I think we could trust both these wide receivers this week as well because we could be in a pinch. Cleveland Brownies taking on those Arizona Cardinals. They got some good news. Deshaun Watson is back, likely to suit up in this contest. He's going to start. How is that shoulder going to, hold up? He's got a rotator cuff issue. I like it, man. This is the week you want to do it versus an Arizona Cardinals club that looks to be tanking, and the Browns look to be ascending in the right way. P.J. Walker filled in admirably, got them at least 4-3, so they're in the hunt still to make the playoffs. And Deshaun Watson, if he comes out okay, I do believe it's going to start out slow. He's going to be rusty to start this game, so I truly believe they're going to lean on the ground game, similarly to what we saw from the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to take that page out of the Ravens playbook, and they're just going to, let Deshaun Watson make some easy completions and then run the football with Ford and Hunt. Low-level risk for Ford and Hunt. We're a mid-level for a Deshaun Watson. I'm going to wait one more week before I suggest starting Deshaun Watson, even though this is a decent week to play him because the defense is pretty porous in Arizona. So, I mean, again, we're struggling for quarterback fill-ins on the stream because a lot of people did drop Deshaun Watson. I think you can fire him up if you're streaming quarterbacks. You can definitely fire up Ford and Hunt this week because I think it's going to be magical on the run game. Amari Cooper on the low-level risk as well. It's been a while while since I've had him on the low level. Now that Watson is back, they've had chemistry in the past, and I think we could absolutely fire up Amari Cooper as well. Elijah Moore and Marquise Goodwin, low upside to high level risk, all in the red. Don't like it whatsoever. We haven't seen near enough PPR upside for Moore to be, happy and comfortable with it, where David Njoku has finally, in the last two contests, seen his target share absolutely inflate through the ceiling. I do believe you can play Njoku in this contest, as well as Watson does get more comfortable coming back from his injury. He could be looking for Njoku quite a bit in this contest. Dallas Cowboys taking on the Philadelphia Eagles in what is going to be the game of the week in the late game slates. I can't wait for this one. It's going to be absolutely magical. Huge divisional showdown between the Cowboys and the Eagles. Dak Prescott impressed me these past 2 weeks. Before they went off the bye week, he looked good. They went off the bye, didn't have a letdown whatsoever, and just took it to the LA Rams. Low-level risk for me versus the Philadelphia Eagles because they do hemorrhage points in the back end as well. The Eagles have issues covering wide receivers, and that's great news for a CeeDee Lamb. I think it's going to be another huge day for CeeDee Lamb, as well as Dak Prescott should be able to, dish the ball to all of his weapons across the field. Where I do have some concern with a Tony Pollard this week on the mid-level risk. It's been a struggle, man. They haven't been able to utilize the ground game as much as they want, so you almost want to say they could recreate it here in this contest because the Eagles have a powerful front seven that will stifle Pollard a lot. So you got to get the ball in his hand through the pass game, which could happen, man. We could see a Texas route go to Pollard and then him score the touchdown because he got the ball in his hand and found his way into the open field. That's the only thing I think going to be saving his day, is close inside the red zone, inside the 20, where they do, manufacture plays just for Pollard in the pass game. So that is one of those things. You're going to be biting your fingernails just a little bit with a Tony Pollard. Like I said, Lamb, fire him up. He's going to have a huge day. Brandon Cooks, good upside in the green. I do like this a lot. They're starting to utilize him, and this is everything I imagined it would be when we saw Cooks go to the Cowboys early in the offseason. I believe we can play Cooks this week once again. He's coming off 2 boom games. I think he's going to do it once again this week. TD upside all day long, speed upside all day long. I like me Brandon Cooks in my flex quite a bit, actually. I'm going to promote that quite a bit. Jake Ferguson and Michael Gallup. Gallup's got a high-level risk. I think Cooks is going to take over that wide receiver 2 spot, where a Ferguson found his way into the end zone and is seeing decent target share for the tight end spot. I think you can fire up Ferguson in this contest as well for the mid-level risk. Green Bay Packers taking on those LA Rams, where the Rams are licking their wounds. So are the Packers, 2-5. Jordan Love, man, there's no more love from the Green Bay Packers front office, as they're already putting it out there, flyers and questions saying, is Jordan Love the true franchise passer? I'm still a believer. 6 boom games for fantasy football. Yes, some of them have been on the lower end of the boom, threshold, but 6 boom games, he's still doing it. 128 points. His wide receivers are dropping a lot of passes right now. We had to expect some growing pains. Like I said early on in the offseason, you're going to see this youthful offense have its struggle at times. I don't think we could pin this all on a Jordan Love whatsoever, and I'm still okay with the mid-level risk versus an LA Rams defense that will come after him with that front seven as well, but I think another boom game is coming for Jordan Love as he continues to move the ball. The greatest opinion right now is Aaron Jones. Good upside for him this week. The coaching staff did say he looked good in practice, even though he's wearing the red no-contact jersey. It is very confusing, but I think this could be the week. They're trying to, play coy and say that Jones is still hurt and then unleash him. Jones, if he's playing and he's healthy, great upside for him, which will open up the play-action pass for a Jordan Love and find these wide receivers down the field. Romeo Doubs, mid-level risk. He is the most trusted wide receiver for me in this offense right now. He has, shown the most dedication to chemistry with a Jordan Love at this point. Reed, high-level risk. He eventually will get there for that PPR upside that we do like and crave, but it's far too volatile for me to trust. Where Christian Watson, mid-level risk, just have not seen near enough of this man to, get me all excited. Right now it's Dobbs and it's Aaron Jones. A.J. Dillon on the low upside, TD upside. Only if an Aaron Jones does not play or he sees his touches removed, they might lean on A.J. Dillon, but I like me some Aaron Jones this week. If they say he's playing, they're going to unleash him, I got to believe what they're saying, man. Luke Musgrave, high-level risk. He was dealing with the ankle injury, but again, he's been concussed. He's been out with ankle injuries mid-game. I need to see at least 2 contests of this man getting target share and putting up points for me to trust him at this point. Houston Texans taking on these Tampa Bay Buccaneers, coming off a loss. It was bad, man. C.J. Stroud tried to bring him back in that contest, could not get it done. It was rookie versus rookie, Stroud versus Young, and Bryce Young got the better of him. This week, I do see a little bit of a bounce back as the Buccaneers do give up some points in the, back end, defensive back end. can, but they just still do have a good front seven that will rush Stroud and cause some issues. That's why I got him on the mid-level risk. I think there is going to be some confusion for CJ in this contest, especially with no Dameon Pierce to be the bully running back. So it is going to be Devin Singletary. I think if we're struggling for running backs, volume upside is here for Devin Singletary. Seen it enough in Buffalo that once he gets going, Motor's going to be able to at least move the ball and move the chains. He is a quality running back, might be better for this system than what Pierce is at this point. So we will see how Devin Singletary goes. Again, only start if you're really struggling for running backs. Devin Singletary does have a mid-level risk with volume upside. No kidding. Mike Boone, high-level risk. He is the backup running back, where Nico Collins, I'm going to give him low level, man. He didn't look great last week, got locked up quite a bit. And see, this is what I was talking about with Nico. Is he truly the alpha wide receiver that we're talking about? He does disappear in these contests versus greater coverages. This has been my issue with him, why I was never fully on board, but I do like the rebound this week versus the Bucs. I think there is opportunity for him to make some plays. CJ Stroud just got to get him the ball. I'm calling low-level risk for a Nico. Noah Brown, high-level risk to a low upside in the red. I do believe there is potential PPR upside, but I'm going to, negate that point by saying I do believe it is Tank Dell week this week. Finally, last week everyone was saying it's going to be Tank Dell. He's coming off the concussion, man. Had to get his feet back under him. I think this is the game that we see Tank Dell have a much better showing with much more targets going to his direction. He's too damn good of a playmaker to keep the shackles on him. I think this is the week we see Tank Dell have a very big game. Dalton Schultz, mid-level risk. He does now possess good PPR upside and goal line upside for touchdowns. I think we could play Dalton Schultz in this contest as well. It should be very good. Like we saw Dalton Kincaid score last week, we could see a Schultz touchdown as well this week. Those Indianapolis Colts taking on those Carolina Panthers. Okay, and tough sledding in Indy. Such a confusing offense to deal with, especially with the running backs, man. JT and Zach Moss, where Moss is still ranked in the top, 6 running backs right now, half PPR, 117 points. How can we bench this man at this point? I'm already saying, how many weeks already? Mid-level, they're going to continue to give Jonathan Taylor more touches, which they have been, but Zach just keeps on producing. So at this point, I'm going to say low-level risk for both JT and a Zach Moss. They're going to have to run the ball quite a bit against a decent to very good Carolina Panthers defense, but I think we can play them because they will try to be dedicated to the ground game and run the football quite a bit. I do see a bounce back big time for JT this week as well. Gardner Minshew on the mid-level risk. He's done more than enough to at least warrant a streaming quarterback option, but he will still turn the ball over for you, and he will have, times of dismay that will get you screaming at your television set. No kidding, man. Michael Pittman, I'm going to give him the low-level risk simply because of Josh Downs on the injury risk right now. He is questionable due to a knee injury. Josh Downs, man, I told y'all in the offseason he was my dude, and he's going to continue to prove it. 4 boom games for Josh Downs. So I'm going to go on the assumption right now that Josh Downs will likely not play. Let's just say it that way. That would uplift a Michael Pittman to a low-level risk. If Downs does play, it still could be an issue when it comes to, decoy role type appeal. But if he does suit up, I think we got to play Downs as well as a Pittman, and I think we would just downgrade them both to a mid-level risk at that point because the Panthers' defense is still very good at covering wide receivers. But I think Pittman in this contest will be the primary source of targets, especially dealing with Josh Downs' knee injury. I think that's kind of where we're going. High-level risk for a Pierce and Kylan Granson, who is likely coming back from that injury as well. Don't like it, not touching it this week. Kansas City Chiefs taking on the Miami Dolphins in Germany. Frankfurt, we're seeing the first time in Germany, and it's a big contest, man. 6-2 Chiefs versus 6-2 Dolphins. It's going to be a wonderful show that we're going to wake up to in the morning. Grab your coffee and just get ready for this one, man. Patrick Mahomes coming off the flu game, losing to those Denver Broncos. They looked piss poor. Worst I have seen these Kansas City Chiefs in a very long time. You almost want to say, why didn't I understand that the Denver Broncos game was a trap game? Because they could have been looking ahead to this Miami game with long travel to Germany, man. Sometimes you just sleep on yourself and you don't understand what's going on. You just neglect it. That was me last week. I completely neglected all of those situations. This week I am not. Now they should be focused, reset, and focused by losing a big division game to the Broncos. Patrick Mahomes, low-level risk, should be able to carve up this Miami Dolphins defense. Isaiah Pacheco, low-level risk as well. They got to get him moving on the ground so that they can set up more comfortability. I just made up a word for a Patrick Mahomes. I think Pacheco's an easy start for me as well. Jerick McKinnon, high-level risk, or a Sky Moore. He's got mid-level. They got to find somebody to at least take some PPR upside and safety blanket approach outside of a Travis Kelce. We could see Sky Moore utilized a little bit more over the middle to keep it at least a little honest while they try to take some deep shots with MVS. We'll see how it does transpire, but the nickel and diamond down the field, we could see Miami definitely rushing after a Patrick Mahomes this week, man. Rashee Rice, low-level risk, and a Travis Kelce, low-level risk. They're trying to find the wide receiver one, and at this point, I think Rashee Rice could be this guy, but it's got to be on higher levels of consistency. This could be a contest we see Rice have a better game than last. And I think Patrick Mahomes is absolutely going to be force-feeding a Travis Kelce once again. But I think Rashee Rice also could find his way into the end zone as well. Los Angeles Chargers taking on the New York Jets on Monday Night Football. Big one. Big one for both these clubs, especially for the LA Chargers. They require this victory in a very big way. While the defense in New York for the Jets have been carrying this team, Zach Wilson's doing enough to at least get them victories behind the good running of Breece Hall. Justin Herbert's going to have a very difficult task versus a very strong Jets defense. That's why I'm putting him on the mid-level risk. He should absolutely still perform enough for us over 15 to 18 points. But it's going to be hard sledding for this team. They're going to have to get very creative. Kellen Moore's got his work cut out for him. Where Austin Eckler, I'm going to give him low-level risk because of PPR upside, because of rushing upside. Jets are, sustainable for getting some big plays against them on the ground. So I like Eckler a lot this week. High-level risk for a Kelly, where Keenan Allen does have PPR upside in the green. And they might have to nickel and dime this defense down the field a little bit, and I think that's where Keenan Allen's role is absolutely going to warrant and bear fruit this week as well. He's been automatic every single week anyway. You're playing him, but I think his role is going to be absolutely key in this contest for this offense. Josh Palmer's on the injury risk. He's dealing with that knee injury. He did finish the last contest, but he was hobbling all over the place. I wouldn't trust it this week, where I liked it last week thinking, okay, he practiced enough to get on the field, but he re-injured it when he was playing. I don't like it this week. He may even sit out this week. If he does sit, this is good news for Q Johnston. But again, low upside for me for Q Johnston because, he struggles at separating, and he struggles because he's a body catcher. So you got to get ways to get this man the ball. I don't understand. You draft a player that has a unique skill set and is still raw in other tendencies. Utilize the man where he will succeed. Do the slants. Do the hooks. One of the best plays that this man does is coming back on the hook to the quarterback, doing the spin move, and then taking off with yak ability. Do that all day long with a Q Johnston, and you should see some point productivity racked up, but I'm going to put him on the low upside, where we could see a mid-level risk to a Gerald Everett, who is back off the injury report. So if Palmer is out, we could see a lot of targets going to the tight end spot, including a Darnell Parham, who does have TD upside, but I'm going to play likely a Gerald Everett over Parham. But if you're in deep leagues, Parham's been giving you a good TD upside share right now, but it's very tough to trust either one of these guys. So definitely watch the injury report on Josh Palmer and see where that one does shake out, because you will get a lot more clarity once that does get revealed if he's playing or not. Los Angeles Rams taking on those Green Bay Packers, and there's lots of trouble. We're praising Sean McVay a couple weeks back, saying he's an absolute genius for getting all these players, all this talent to be playing at the level they were playing at. Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell's going like he's a top-end wide receiver. Now you got injuries to derail it all, man. You got no running backs. You got Darrell Henderson. You got Royce Freeman. This is a big problem. Now Matthew Stafford likely will not suit up in this contest. Yes, they still have him on the questionable tag with the thumb, but it's going to be about, can he grip the ball? And they were flirting with the opinion that he could potentially go to short-term IR, and now you're saying that he's a questionable. This is all semantics for me. I do not see Matthew Stafford playing. If he does play, oh my goodness, call me shocked, because I didn't see it coming. I'm going to sit here and say that's why my graphic here's got Brent Rippon playing in this contest at a high-level risk. Green Bay Packers, secondary at least will still challenge the Rams, wide receivers with a Rippon as they're going to try to get after the quarterback. Darrell Henderson, Royce Freeman should be leaned upon a lot if it is Rippon, so mid-level risk for Henderson and Freeman TD upside once again this week. If I have to pick my wide receivers in this contest, it's going to be Cooper Kupp over all of them at this point. I think that he offers the most consistency, the most reliability for a Brent Rippon at this point. There's got to be some chemistry building here. But Cooper Kupp is good enough where he can uplift any quarterback at this point. You just get it in his vicinity, and he will be able to do that. Similarly to a Puka, he's been playing extremely well. Puka's also dealing with a knee injury. He's on the questionable. So I got mid-level risk for a Puka at this point. He's got 2 bust games in the last 3. Not good. So the target share is kind of curtailing down. So I think Cooper Kupp maybe is the play this week. Tutu Atwell on the high-level risk. Can Rippon support a deep shot all day long? Don't really see it. I do got high-level risk on a Higbee, but I actually want to change that as we are talking. talking this one out because I'm going to put him to high level to a mid-level risk, because I think there is upside here for that safety blanket role. Like I'm saying, got to stay consistent with what I'm evaluating, and Higbee could actually be the guy that sees a lot of PPR upside in this contest, as well as Rypien could be the starter. Las Vegas Raiders taking on the New York Giants, and we got a coaching change. They finally fired Josh McDaniels. Let that stink go out the door because it's been bad in Las Vegas. They're also benching a Jimmy Garoppolo in likes of Aiden O'Connell. He gets another start, but O'Connell's going to get a high-level risk for me. He should be good enough at this point that he can at least sling the ball around this offense and make it move. Will he turn the ball over to the Giants? Abso-freaking-lutely. Will the Giants rush him and blitz him? Abso-freaking-lutely. It is definitely coming, but high-level risk. At least the upside is here that they're going to have a refreshed outlook because Josh McDaniels is no longer the head coach. So I fully expect the Raiders to come out playing ball this week where they got some, more happy feelings that they got a new outlook on life, if you want to look at it that way. Josh Jacobs, low-level risk. Fire him up everywhere you got him. Davante Adams, huge bounce-back game you got to believe is coming, force-feeding this man on the regular, trying to get him the ball. He's been extremely frustrated, visibly frustrated, has not had a good boom game in 4, man, if you can believe it. One of the best wide receivers in the league has been absolutely dreadful because of the quarterback play. Don't like it whatsoever. Low-level risk for Davante. I'm starting him everywhere you got him. Jakobi Meyers, PPR upside once again. He's automatic in your flex. I mean, you basically plug him in there and you don't even think about it because the PPR upside is definitely there. 89 points for this man. 5 boom games for a Jakobi Meyers. You cannot bench that at this point, even with an O'Connell. Hunter Renfrow, high-level risk, and Michael Mayer on the low upside in the red. I just want to see how this offense is going to move with the new head coaching staff and understand how O'Connell's playing. We will see. It's going to be a struggle. So Meyer, I'm going to say on your bench or on the waiver where he should belong at this point. The Miami Dolphins taking on those Kansas City Chiefs and what's going to be a fabulous showing. Like I was talking about with the Chiefs, man. Tua Tagovailoa, low-level risk. These guys are going to be ready for this contest, okay? And what did I say about these Miami Dolphins? They have not beaten anybody of value to the elite level stature that we want to see. This is the biggest contest of the season, for them right now, as they're both 6-2. Massive game. It is in Germany, and we're going to start right there, actually, with Tyreek Hill on the revenge game. You know what's coming, man. 200 yards is not out of the question for Tyreek Hill. You know Andy Reid is going to try to scheme up everything he can. He knows Tyreek extremely well. He's going to put 3 guys to that side and make someone else like Jalen Waddle beat him. But if Tyreek does get loose, he's amped up for this game. He wants to kick the, crap out of these Kansas City. I wanted to swear, man. It was that good. But he's going to try to kick the crap out of these Kansas City Chiefs. Tyreek Hill wants this game badly. I think the revenge game upside is here, and I think you got to absolutely believe 20-plus points is coming from this man. Low-level risk for a Tua. Absolutely fire him up. This defense is different without a Nick Bolton in the middle. I think Tua's going to have a decent to very good day. Raheem Mostert, they're going to lean upon this ground game as well. Fire up Raheem everywhere you got him. Also, Jalen Waddle time. So like I said, while Tyreek Hill is on the revenge game and should see a lot of targets going his way, Waddle could be this guy that they're going to force feed as Andy Reid tries to take away Tyreek Hill a lot. I think Jalen Waddle's going to have a big game if they do succeed in covering Tyreek Hill this week, so you absolutely fire him up everywhere you got him as well. Berrios and Durham Smythe, we are not looking in that direction because this offense has already basically told us what they are. So this week, I think you fire up those gentlemen and hope for the best because we're hopefully going to get a wonderful show in Germany. Minnesota Vikings taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Okay, Kirk Cousins, man. Can we say a prayer for Kirk Cousins? Because this man, he is one of my favorites. If you guys watch that Netflix QB show, you understand what kind of a good, solid dude Kirk Cousins is. Couldn't happen to a worse guy. He burst his Achilles. He is done for the season. They traded for Josh Dobbs. He was not able to get acclimated with the playbook near fast enough. So we are talking Jaren Hall. I am not a big Jaren Hall supporter. If he proves me wrong, I'm going to say, okay, fine. I was absolutely wrong on a Jaren Hall. I am not convinced whatsoever. I think there's a lot of inadequacy in his game, and this one could be a big struggle. High-level risk for a Hall, which absolutely downgrades everybody on this offense that was so nice and high-octane. Alexander Mattison and Cam Akers, I'm going to put them on the mid-level risk because they should try to run the ball a lot in this contest to absolutely protect Hall from making a lot of mistakes. So if you got him, I think you can play a Mattison Akers on the lower 14 to 16 team leagues, you can start him in that sense. In 12 team, that's a little bit sketchy for me, but I do foresee them trying to run the football quite a bit. What do we do with the wide receivers? Jordan Addison, KJ Osborne at this point. Man, you're talking 6 boom games for Addy, 108 points, looking like the true wide receiver one I knew he was going to be. This one is the tell for me. I'm going to give him low upside this week because of who's throwing him the football and the way that the Falcons have been playing in the secondary. That's why I got low upside for an Addy right now. I would recommend sitting him if you have better options. If you don't, I get the play. But what I want to see in this contest is, can Addison uplift a quarterback like a Jaren Hall? If he can, if he absolutely can, then we know that Jordan Addison is on that next level of special to elite, because that takes big boy pants to uplift a young quarterback and make absolute dynamo plays. So I'm going to play it safe on this week on this one and say low upside. Let you guys choose. If you have better options, take them. If not, yeah, I understand playing them. Go with your gut. If you feel like Addison's still going to continue, absolutely do that. I'm playing it on the safer side. KJ Osborne still will have that PBR upside. Safety blankets are key. Where Brandon Powell, high level risk, he is getting in the mix. Not near enough for fantasy point productivity, where I'm going to give a low level risk to the tight end spot, TJ Hawkinson. Like I said, continuing with that evaluation this week for quarterbacks that are youthful and inexperienced, they're going to be looking to the tight end for the easy spot. So I think the only trusted commodity we can take out of this offense this week with high upside is definitely TJ Hawkinson in this one. New England Patriots taking on the Washington Commanders, the Commies. Oh, man, the Commies, they've been trying, they've been playing, and, I mean, they've been just going up against very stout defenses, hard-nosed teams. The Patriots 2-6, Commies are 3-5. Mac Money Jones, they look to at least have turned some little bit of a corner, maybe not the full corner. Mid-level risk for Mac Money. I mean, the Washington Commanders traded away 2 of their edge rushers in Sweat and Chase. Who's going to be rushing the quarterback, man? So there might be ability here for the Patriots to get the ground game going. And if they do, that will only help make Mac Money Jones able to pass the football that much more. There are injuries, whether it is Tyquan Thornton, he's questionable with a foot, where you got Kendrick Bourne on the IR due to the ACL, and Devontae Parker's out with a concussion. So you've got a patch-made solution here in the wide receiver room. Juju, Demario Douglas, and then Jalen Reagor. It is not good news. I got Juju at a high-level risk. Douglas with mid-level risk because he's got ability and wheels. So if they get the ball in his hands, he's absolutely able to take it and make a house call, where Jalen Reagor, I've never been a huge supporter of. High-level risk for me. So this does all this issue in this wide receiver room. Why am I talking about it so much? Because it gives good upside to a Ramondre Stevenson. There should be, while he has not looked good, and I'm trying my best to give us upside here and positivity on Dre. Good upside does exist here, where I think they're going to have no choice but to continue to try to run the football and now install more targets to Ramondre in the flats on the checkdowns, gain those 6-7 yards, and then fight for the next down. That has to be the MO in this offense. Why they took it away from last year, I have no idea. What did Dre have last year? 70 receptions? He's not even close to that right now on the pace. So let's get back to feeding Ramondre the football. We could have that good upside here for him as well. Hunter Henry on the mid-level risk. I do believe, I'm going on a limb here, he finds his way into the end zone this week. So if you're looking for that high risk, high reward upside play, Hunter Henry is going to be that guy who is one of the better pass catchers that Mac Money Jones absolutely trusts. So I think that there is potential here versus the Commies to get a touchdown for Hunter Henry. New Orleans Saints taking on the Chicago Bears. Derek Carr, captain, check down right now. The Bears looked absolutely awful. They're going to New Orleans. This is not going to be good. Derek Carr is good enough to move this offense. They found something in a Rashid Shaheed. While it came at the detriment of my guy Chris Olave, I think low-level risk for Derek Carr. Absolutely, you can stream him, fire him up this week. Stud start of the week for Alvin Kamara once again. 5 boom games for this man. He does not miss at this point because Derek Carr is looking for him on the check down everywhere. And Alvin's finding his way into the end zone very nicely. Chris Olave, this is the bounce-back week. If it does not happen, I will apologize to you right now, but I'm believing in this. It's been far too long, and teams have to get their number one targets back in the mix. I think this is the week that Chris Olave absolutely has the bounce back. I'm calling boom game and low-level risk. Keep feeding to Chris Olave on this one. He needs a bounce back in a very big way. Michael Thomas, PBR upside, very safe floor, 7-2, 10 points. It's automatic points, man. You can't pass that up. So if you got him, easy start for me for Michael Thomas. You just got to get higher points, higher upside in the aggregate with your other players if you play Michael Thomas. Rashid Shaheed, he's got extremely high upside, 84 points, man, leading this wide receiver room because, I mean, it's 3 catches for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Like, this is what this man is doing for you at this point. They're able to get, expose the defenses on the deep shot because Shaheed has world-class wheels. He is that true boomer bust category because he'll get, 4 targets a game, and if he doesn't catch 2 of them, then, he's going to have 2 for, 50 and then no TD. So it is a struggle, and I think more teams are going to start to, at least edge that safety over to that side to keep it honest, which will absolutely help a Chris Olave get open down the field. So I fully expect that to happen this week. They cannot continue to ignore Rashid Shaheed. He's been far too explosive at this point. Taysom Hill, TD upside, fire him up everywhere you got him. 4 boom games. He's looking good. Yes, he is the quarterback, running back, tight end hybrid, but I mean, we get to play him at tight end, so that's a gift. If you have him off the waiver wire, you fire him up everywhere you got him. New York Giants taking on those Las Vegas Raiders, and I mean, the Raiders defense isn't great, but I mean, Max Crosby should absolutely be getting after a Daniel Jones. Jones is coming back from the injury where Tyrod is down and out with the ribs. Darren Waller also out with a hamstring injury, so this does complicate matters. Last week, what did we see? The Giants said, the hell with everybody else on the field. We're just going to give the ball to Saquon. He had like 65 touches last week. Unbelievable stuff, so I totally foresee that happening again. Stud start of the week for a Saquon Barkley, where I got a mid-level on the red for a Daniel Jones. I am concerned about that neck injury. What if he does take a shot? He could be out of the contest as well. Not looking to play him whatsoever. Hodgins, Slayton, Campbell, Robinson. Not trusting any of it right now. Even if you're in desperation mode, go to the Atlanta Falcons wide receiver room with Van Jefferson and Mac Hollins before you're touching any of these wide receivers because it has not been good. And then Daniel Bellinger is the high-level risk at the tight end spot. It could get very ugly in this one. I totally foresee exactly the similar game plan that we saw last week from the Giants, and that is feed Saquon Barkley. New York Jets versus these Los Angeles Chargers on Monday Night Football. Zach Wilson, the Kuka Killer. He's been doing enough, man. Mid-level risk. He's not trustworthy in fantasy football, but he's been doing more than enough to at least keep the rest of this offense moving. I told y'all 2 weeks ago Garrett Wilson was going to have a big one. He did. And I think it's going to continue against the Chargers, who do struggle against the, opposing wide receiver ones. And Garrett Wilson is truly proving that 5 boom games with a quarterback like Zach Wilson, that truly means he is a special talent. Absolutely. You fire up Garrett Wilson everywhere you got him. Stud start for Breece Hall as well. I think they're going to be able to gallop through this Chargers defense, even though it's going to be Khalil Mack and Bosa rushing after the quarterback. I think they're going to have some checkdowns or some screens and, good rushing play upside for a Breece Hall. Dalvin Cook, man, high-level risk. When are we going to see it? I don't think we will this season. Allen Lazard, Gibson, and Conklin, I'm going to give a mid-level to a Lazard. They got to at least find a secondary piece to help out this offense. Lazard might have some, ability this week. It's too difficult to trust, but mid-level for me, I think there is potential that he does find his way into the end zone. Conklin, Gibson, you're not playing on the high-level risk. The Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Like I said, huge contest. And while, I was, promoting the Cowboys to look a lot better, I'm not underselling this whatsoever here in Philadelphia, but they are playing in Philly, so it is a big one, and I think it's a great place for them to be playing in this contest. Low-level risk for Jalen Hurts. He's been very good since they've absolutely been force-feeding grown-ass man A.J. Brown. That should, again, continue. 7 booms for Jalen Hurts, 7 booms for A.J. Brown. That's the MO of this offense now. Run with DeAndre Swift, force feed A.J. Brown, let him make plays, and then sprinkle the passes to everyone else. And that's now our job to figure out who is that other wide receiver or tight end that they're going to pass to. So now, Devonta Smith figured out his hands. He's looking a lot better. Had a nice game last week. But I think they're going to switch the script here a little bit, and Dallas Goedert should have a very good contest in this one as well. Trying to play it safe, recreate the run if they do get stifled from the defensive front of the Cowboys. With DeAndre Swift, I got a mid-level on DeAndre, but I think you fire him up everywhere you got him because he's got too much explosive ability and could find his way into the end zone. Once you get past the linebackers in the Dallas defense, there is absolutely ability for running backs to score touchdowns. Devonta Smith, fire him up in your flex on the mid-level risk, but curtail your top-end ceiling. I think we're seeing maybe 10 to 12 is going to be the high-end ceiling for him. Likely, 7 to 8 could be the line where we see Smith rest. Where Dallas Goedert, I'm going to say low-level risk. I think he finds his way into the end zone, and Jalen Hurts does look for him quite a bit to be that safety guy when he is under duress and, being rushed by Micah Parsons. Seattle Seahawks taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Going to Baltimore, west to east is never good. Okay, they coming off a big showing, comeback win versus the Cleveland Browns. They held on versus the Cleveland Browns as the Browns came back versus the Seahawks. Geno right now, versus this Baltimore Ravens defense, I gave him a mid-level last week. I wanted to see what he could do, and he played pretty well. As the game did go on, he did see some adjustments from the defense that I did not like how he handled, so I'm giving him low upside this week. I am a little worried about Geno and his play. Something about this pass game right now is not, giving me the warm, fuzzy feeling. DK Metcalf only has 65 points in 8 weeks. Or 7 contests. This is not good, man. You got to force feed the cyborg on the regular. He's got to be the bully in this contest. I said that last week, and he completely was not. They fed Tyler Lockett. Geno is taking what the defense is giving him, and I think that's the difference in this year to last, where Geno was forcing the issue a little bit. They're playing it a little safer. Now they are on top of the NFC West, and they're going to continue to play that safe card, okay? Kenny Walker was dealing with the calf last week. We saw some more touches go to Zach Charbonnet. I think we resort back to what it's supposed to be. Kenneth Walker is needed in this contest to be the bell cow back to set up that play-action pass and make Geno that much more comfortable. Low upside for Geno, low-level risk for Kenny Walker. Fire up Kenny everywhere you got him. High-level risk for Charbonnet. Outside of anything happening to Kenny, I don't think he's really going to see the ball in great bunches this week. For the wide receivers, Metcalf, Lockett, and Jackson Smith-Njigba, I'm going to say mid-level, and then good upside respectively. Mid-levels for both a Metcalf and a Lockett were good upside for Njigba, I think, is where it should be. Njigba right now is got the, pleasure of being kind of that forgotten man, where defenses are still going to continue to focus on Metcalf, focus on a Tyler Lockett, and then now Jackson Smith-Njigba can kind of roam free and then find his way to good yardage and potential touchdown. So good upside to it, Njigba. If I'm playing one in this contest, you got to believe Metcalf is overdue for that big one. I think you could play Metcalf, you could play Lockett, and then in your flex, I think you could still maybe play Njigba, but I'm going to say it's tougher for me to believe Njigba in this one is going to take over Metcalf and Lockett. I think they're going to go back to the well with what they should be doing. Those two gentlemen should have a very good day versus a very good defense. Noah Fant on the high-level risk. Not trusting it once again. I think basically on, with the record on repeat when it comes to that man in fantasy football. Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on those Houston Texans. Bake Show. He almost brought those Bucs back versus the Buffalo Bills. Man, that was not the way I wanted to see that game close out, but Baker, low-level risk versus a Houston defense that is very good. They're building in the right direction, but they have shown lapses, man. And if a guy like Bryce Young is able to figure it out, I think Baker could also do that as well. Even if Baker does start out the gate slow like he did versus the Bills, there's always potential for this man to climb back into games. He is good enough with these wide receivers that he does possess. Streaming quarterbacks, absolutely. You could fire up a Baker Mayfield this week. Rachaad White, I'm starting to feel a little bit better about this man because guess what they're doing? They're utilizing him like I want to see the Patriots utilize Ramondre Stevenson. PPR upside definitely exists for Rachaad White. Once this man is in the open field, he does have that burst, but taking the carries from the backfield, he's almost too hesitant, and it's a slow, get up and go. He's trying to find that gap. Like, just hit the gap and go. I don't know what's going on from the backfield. He does possess PPR upside. I do like that a lot. So for me, Rachaad White versus the Houston Texans, I do believe you can play this week as well. Chase Edmonds is back from the IR, has had some touches sprinkled in, high-level risk right now, but they desperately require that change of pace back. Thought Sean Tucker could be the guy, just definitely is not. So Chase Edmonds now back on the board on this list. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, absolutely fire them up. I got low-level risk for Evans. We're a mid-level PPR upside. Yellow to green. I think there is good potential for Godwin once again to have a very good show where they're going to key in on a Mike Evans a lot. I think Godwin will get you over that boom threshold once again this week, where Trey Palmer and Cade Otton, high-level risks. I am definitely looking in another direction. Last one I got is the Washington Commanders, the Commies. Okay, and the Commies been playing extremely well. We got Curtis Samuel on the toe. He is out for this contest. Not good news because he has been a very good safety blanket, but Sam Howell has played extremely well. The way he performed against the Eagles, my goodness, man, I fully expected him to get sacked 1,000 times. Kudos to Eric Bieniemy and the coaching staff for absolutely fabricating the ways to make him roll out of the pocket, buy some extra time, chip in the edge rushers. Did a fantastic job to keep Sam Howell off the turf. Low-level risk, 6 boom games for him as well, almost 150 points. You can absolutely fire him up versus the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick. Brian Robinson, mid-level risk, where the Patriots are very good and stout versus the run game. You can still fire up a Brian Robinson because he is that bully running back that will find his way into the end zone once Sam Howell does get him down the field. Scary Terry McLaurin, low-level risk, fire him up this week. He should have a very good day. Where Jahan Dotson, good upside. He's back, baby. I've been preaching up Jahan, the entire offseason. He just hasn't been utilized. Now we saw him come off, a 20-point show, and I think it's good. We got to see what's happening. 56 points, good upside for me. No Curtis Samuel. They're going to have to continue to go back to the well and go to Jahan Dotson, where Jamison Crowder and Diami Brown should fill out the role for the other guys. High-level risk for me in that respect. In deeper leagues, there is some PPR upside for a Crowder, and Logan Thomas does have a low-level risk because I do believe they're going to have to continue to feed other players in this game, as Sam Howell has been doing all season long and been playing very good at that. But there you have it. That is week number 9 start sit lineup advice. Like always, drop your start sit questions in the comments. I will definitely help y'all out as best as I can. And let's get those victories as the fantasy playoffs are getting that much closer. But nevertheless, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, jump in those comments, give me your thoughts, and we'll see you next time. I am out.